How are you feeling about your young defensive linemen, how far they've come? And I know they didn't get a lot of preseason snaps, but
Well, they better have fresh legs then. But no, this past couple of practices have been really good. Feel fast. Like I said, it's gonna be fun to get those guys out there and see how we do.
Coach, likelihood that Upton Stout would be starting given the time that he missed, and then obviously before then he was doing great, but then he missed some time. Is he for sure possibly going to be starting in that position?
We'll see. We still have another couple of days of preparation. I think we have a general idea of how this can play out, but whatever little advantage it might give, we'll just hold on to that decision for Sunday.
The offensive system they put in place, how similar are you expecting it to be what's run here?
For sure. There's similarities, but like everyone who's a disciple of, I grew up in the Seattle Seahawks cover 3 system as created by Gus Bradley, who happens to be in the building, and he, and I kind of branched off and kind of made it my own deal. So I'm sure Koob over there has done the same thing. He's got some nuance to what he does that's a little bit different. While you see similarities, there's things that have his hallmark touch on it.
Which would be, you'd expect them to really emphasize the running game out the gates to see if you guys can handle it?
Yeah, you'd expect that, but it's really, whatever they feel is fit for that game plan. They've got a fantastic O-line coach in John Benton, who we had at the Jets with us too, and we're all familiar with here with the Niners. So they're even Rico Dennison, who's a really good O-line coach, is also there. So they're very well coached. You can see it on tape. They're athletic up front, and they do a really good job executing their zone scheme.
So many teams in your division now run the outside zone. Did that, come into play when you were talking about Michael Williams and his value and what he might be good at?
There are several things with Michael. We're rebuilding a defensive line. Michael is. We look at him as an outside guy on first and second down, similar in the way Armstead was, and then you kick him inside, at least the early years of Armstead, and then give him a chance to go rush the passer. We think he's got a chance to be a really good interior pass rusher. He's Michael's athletic enough on the edge. He's long enough. He can set edges. He can handle those double teams. Tight ends are going to be at a severe disadvantage with him. So you feel good about him setting edges on the outside and making sure that ball stays funneled to the linebackers. So it's all encompassing. He's just a really, really, really good football player who's got a really high ceiling. So again, one of those rookies who really has missed a lot of time during training camp, but we're excited to see him play and grow throughout the year.
How much has Sam Darnold improved over the last few years, and what is he doing well at this point?
A lot. We played him last year. When I was with the Jets in London, and just studying his tape, he's very confident. He is a playmaker. Last year he proved that he could be a good decision maker. Also, he took care of the football. He got the ball to his playmakers, and I think the scheme just fits him. Kevin O'Connell did a great job, and I think him coming up to Seattle, being in the same system, is going to be good for him. You can tell, even in the one drive that they had, just complete command of the offense, getting those guys in and out of the huddle with tempo. They were flawless in their execution on that one drive they had against Kansas City. So he's improved greatly, especially from, even though I never got a chance to coach him at the Jets, the background of when I arrived to what you see is very different.
Of this all offseason, but why you were brought here. You also said that you could see as many as 6 rookies starting. Probably didn't get the amount of playing time in the exhibition season you would have liked with them. So how do you kind of big picture overall rate things right now with the expectation probably that you get better as the season wears on?
Put your seatbelt on, enjoy the ride, man. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs, a lot of really cool moments, a lot of hair-pulling moments, but they're good kids. They work hard. They're fast. They're violent. They love the game of football. They're ready to play, and they're ready for their op.
Along with that, Robert, you used the phrase "we'll see" a fair number of times leading up to this. What is that like for you as a coach? I'm sure there's a certain amount of "we'll see" anytime you go into week one, but this year in particular with so many new pieces, what is that like for you?
The growth part. There's Because you never know, right? Like you can go into a season, and I would imagine just talking to Kyle, it's when the roster is veteran-like and it's been together for a while, you just know you're going to kick the living ever daylights out of people. And when you're young and you got a bunch of new faces, you have confidence that you will, and you're just excited for the affirmation, if that makes sense. And you see it in the practice field. We saw it against the Raiders in practice. We saw it with Denver. Just the competitive spirit and the guys getting after it. And so obviously the regular season is a whole completely different speed. But it's going to be exciting to go through the process with them, because it's not going to be the same at the end of the year. These kids are going to get better, especially with reps. They're only going to get faster. They're only going to get stronger. But through the whole process, like I said, you just don't know until you know. And this is just one of those deals where we're excited to see the affirmations come to life.
Demo is a new team captain this year. I realize you weren't here when he got here, but in terms of his leadership, what are some examples of stuff that you've noticed throughout camp and to this point?
I think first, you always want to see how somebody approaches the game, and you want your leaders to be deliberate. You want your leaders to be your hardest workers. You want your leaders to lead by example with regard to regen and rehab and working out and taking care of their bodies, their eating habits, their study habits, and just observing them through that. He doesn't have to say a word, and I can tell you right now that he's already a leader in that regard. He's very deliberate in his approach. He's very intentional. Every rep is very important to him. And then on top of it, you see him talking to guys. He's got an energy to him. His teammates love him. He's a dog on the football field in terms of his physicality and his desire to compete. So pumped for him. Like I said, this is my first exposure to him, and he's every bit of what you would expect a captain to look like.
Robert,
Two more guys?
someone like Bosa, who everyone talks about how advanced he was coming into the NFL, and that was like in effect your only season with him. When you come back and you see him, is it like he looks like the same guy, or is he like added things or done things to where he's like, a far different player?
He's definitely added stuff. His rookie year, I'd never seen a D lineman make so many tackles just whiff before, like the way he did. I mean, it was bizarre. And I remember standing on the podium because, God bless Joe Staley, couldn't block him the entire training camp. And I was like, well, eventually he will. He's a veteran. I was like, he still hasn't touched him, But he's. You just know guys like him, his pedigree and the way he was raised and the way he approached the game his entire life. Like, he's always trying to find nuance to his game to help him get better, and really pumped for him. And I don't want to say. I mean, he's always going to have big years. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out for him.
Said that all the young guys in the locker room have changed the attitude. I know you weren't here last year, but do you feel that youthful energy from all the young guys in there?
I can't compare it to years past. What I could tell you is that whenever there is an injection of youth, like they don't know any better. They haven't been scarred by the business part of it. They haven't been scarred by the playing time. They just, they make an average 2-yard gain, and they're jumping around like they made a 4th and 1 stop to win the Super Bowl. And it's just that juice and that energy. They're just their love of football shines in their habits because everything is fresh and new to them, and that does kind of trickle down, and it does rub off on all the veterans. It's like, you can compare it to an old dog getting a little puppy in the house. That old dog's gonna get up and get ready to go. It's gonna have a little extra juice to it. So yeah, young guys are fun. Like I said, though, they make mistakes, but they go 100 miles an hour doing it. They bring a lot of juice. They make it fun, and like I said, we're looking forward to seeing them play. All right, thank you guys.
I want to know, one, how less stressful is it going into week 1, knowing that Juwan Jennings is on the better side of possibly being out there, given the cap, given the contract negotiations that are now done? How does it feel to have him out there?
Great. Yeah, less stressful to have Juwan out there, a great player, big part of our team. Nothing like seeing his smiling face out there playing, and he gives us energy, and he's a great player. So real excited to have Juwan, and happy to see him out there on the field on Sunday.
To follow up, against Seattle, you don't have to that's one less position you have to worry about finding a way to fill, and production you have to worry about actually, someone who is accustomed to the system. That's what I mean by less stress. Do you feel that now that he's available?
Yeah, it definitely takes a little bit of a burden off, bringing guys up to speed, especially some of the new guys we have in who maybe would have played a bigger role had Juwan not been ready this week. But, Juwan's also, hasn't been out there in practice, so you're bringing him up to speed from a physical standpoint too. So, but yeah, it definitely takes some of the burden off those guys, but we're expecting contribution from those guys regardless. So, but to answer your question, yeah, it's definitely better. Yeah.
Have you been in touch with the Seahawks offensive coordinator much?
A little bit. This week's been a little quiet, so we're giving each other our space and look forward to seeing them on Sunday. So,
Going back to childhood, have you had many head-to-head battles?
This will be our third time going against each other in the NFL. Obviously, nothing outside of that. So it's a really cool thing. It's a cool experience. It's pretty rare, so we treasure them for sure. But it's a little awkward during the week, but it'll be fun on Sunday.
Do you try and guess what he's going to do, or how do you play that mental game beforehand?
That's not my job. It's interesting that we're on the same sides of the ball, so we're really not competing against each other. That's for Coach Saleh to figure out, and same for him. So, yeah.
What makes Mike Macdonald's scheme unique and effective?
They're really well coached. That's the biggest thing, is whether it's unique is one. It's unique in that they're really well coached. The way all their coverage is tied together, the blitz is tied together, it's a really coherent and cohesive scheme, and you can tell they're really well coached. You can tell they coach detail, and they play very hard. They tackle. They do fundamentals well, but they also challenge you mentally, as a play caller, and they challenge you schematically. So it's definitely one of the best, hardest guys to go up against, and it's going to be a challenge.
Kyle called Christian a psycho in a good way. How would you describe his drive and his to get to this point now after his comeback and where he's at week one?
Yeah, he hasn't done anything we didn't know he was going to do. He has that gene, whatever it is, where he is just so driven, and he's not going to be deterred from his goal. And it's been awesome to see him just start in the off season and just carry him through training camp to where he's at now. And so it's just a lot of respect for Christian and how he takes care of himself, how he prepares, and whatever word you want to use. He's unique in that way. So.
Can you even quantify how much confidence it gives the staff and teammates?
Yeah, no. He gives everyone confidence. He's one of our leaders. He's one of our best players, and when he's rolling and feeling good, our team has a pretty good mindset.
He missed a lot of time earlier in the offseason, but since he returned, he hasn't really missed any time. How much has he improved during this span?
A lot. He missed OTAs, and he had the setback coming into camp. But since he came back, I don't think Ricky's missed a beat. And you can just see the growth. You see it in training camp every day. You saw it in the preseason game. And that's been huge for him. That's what he needed. He needed to string together weeks and stack practices to really start to grow as a player, and he's done that. And so he's given himself a great chance to have a good year. So I'm happy where Ricky's at.
I'm curious, how will the play calling kind of go on Sunday? Is Shanahan going to take the reins, and then how will you kind of chime in?
Yeah, Kyle calls the plays. Obviously, I called him in the preseason. I had to, talk to the quarterbacks, but Kyle communicates to the quarterback. Play calling, it is collaborative in some regard. We're always communicating. We're always suggesting things and giving ideas in certain situations, and Kyle does a great job of taking that information in and processing it and then letting that be whatever he wants to call. But so he's calling plays, but like always, it's a collaborative process between me, him, our line coach Chris, Brian Fleury, and anyone who kind of sees things as the game goes on.
Kind of follow up on that. I know at the college level, adjustments have in-game adjustments have really changed because of technology. How hard is it, and how has it changed since you kind of got into the league?
Since I've been in the league, it hasn't changed much. You have the pictures on the side, or the tablets to see kind of the pre-snap and post-snap of each play. So we kind of haven't gone beyond that in the NFL. We've talked about this before, but sometimes it's having too much information, too much video in between plays. It can cloud your mind with too much stuff. And the simplicity of the pictures, it's kind of what we know. It's kind of how we know how to make adjustments in games. So, I don't know any different way. So I'm not going to compare it to anything else. So.
George Kittle is almost 32 now. In the last a couple seasons since you've been here. I mean, has there been any curiosity of like, okay, is this guy going to be the same? And have you noticed anything as far as slippage?
George is in good a shape, looks as good as he's ever looked to me, and that's a credit to him, for how he handles his off season, how he takes care of himself in the off season, during the season. He's a specimen in that way. I mean, he's really, to me, in the best shape he's ever been in as a player, and it just speaks to how he prepares, and it's really cool.
Established himself as a terrific scrambler. When you watch him run, do you think, man, we need to design some runs for him?
Brock can run, I don't want to reveal plans or anything, and we've had plays for Brock to design run. It depends on the scheme you're going against too. You do want to avoid quarterback getting hit. That's always a big part of it. But if we see something and we think there's a way to take advantage of it, we always try to. Doesn't mean it's going to get called, but we go into games with stuff for Brock.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks, Doug.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
Have a good one.